Welcome back to our class. Today's lecture is about situation analysis. It is a relatively short lecture because I had intended to have presentations at the same time during our session, but you will see that it's relatively short and it covers aspects of situation analysis. So let's start with the basic definition of situation analysis. What is it? Situation analysis is an analysis of the factors in the context of a either planned or present curriculum project that is made in order to assess their potential impact on the project. And these factors may be either political, social, economic, or institutional. So they are external factors, which is quite different from the needs analysis, which mostly relate to the learner's needs, right? Situation analysis complements or adds to the information gathered during needs analysis. So it's something which comes after. It is sometimes considered as a dimension of needs analysis and can also be regarded as an aspect of evaluation. So what is the goal behind it? The goal of situation analysis is to identify the key factors that might positively or negatively affect the implementation of a curriculum plan. And this is sometimes known under the abbreviation SWOT, S-W-O-T, SWOT analysis, because it involves an examination of different subsections with the SWOT abbreviation. So let's go over that and understand what SWOT stands for. According to Klinghammer in 1997, page 65, in his publication, he says, a language programs internal strengths and weaknesses in addition to external opportunities and threats to the existence or successful operation of the language program. So you see SWOT, in fact, is assessing the potential onuses, the pluses, the minuses or the risks, in addition to other external opportunities and threats. So SWOT. What is the function of having or doing situation analysis? Well, situation analysis serves to help identify potential obstacles to implementing a curriculum. So when you're in the process of implementing a curriculum project, you want to anticipate some of the problems, the obstacles that will come, and also the factors that need to be considered when planning the parameters or different aspects of a project. The next step in curriculum planning involves using the information collected during the needs analysis and the situation analysis as the foundation or as the basis for developing the program goals and objectives. So you see, if you want to put them in more of a chronological order, I would say you start with needs analysis, you follow it with situation analysis, and then you are going to outline your program goals and objectives at the end. What are some of the factors associated with situation analysis? We have several factors. We have some of them we are going to talk about a bit more in details in this lecture, and I'll give you some examples. Social factors, project factors, institutional factors, teacher factors, and learner factors. So 5 different factors, okay? You might want to say, if you think about it, they progress from macro factors to micro factors, meaning factors which are outside the classroom to factors which are pinpoint or maybe relate to deeply nitty-gritty aspects of teaching and learning. Okay, A, B, C, D, E. So how about we look at these, and I promise I'm going to just be a little bit selective. I'm not going to pick up everything because just for the sake of time and for coherence as well. So let's have a look. The first one is social factors. Okay, so these are factors that can affect the situational analysis. Now let's read together. The role of foreign languages in the community. This is one social factor. Their status in the curriculum, the educational traditions and experiences in language teaching. Okay, so we have to look at how language is taught in the country, in the community, and the expectations that members of the community at large have for language teaching and learning. Okay, you see, all of these are social factors. So we need to consider these, and to consider social factors or societal factors involves or entails determining the impact of groups in the community or society at large on the program. So what are these groups? They may include any of the following. So you can have a look. There's different levels. Some of them relate to stakeholders, government representatives, policymakers. But we also have groups which are closer to the students, such as parents, educational organizations, politicians as well. All of these are groups which can affect the societal factors of situation analysis. Okay, so what we can ask some questions. At this level, you remember that needs analysis is also about asking questions, and situation analysis is the same. So if we ask some questions, what type of questions may be relevant if we think about community, societal, national scope? We have a few here, and I just highlight in red a few so that we just save time. But of course, once you are listening to this lecture at your own leisure and you have the PowerPoint available, you can read all of these one by one. So selecting the red highlighted ones, one question which can be asked when doing a situation analysis that relate to societal issues is what current language teaching policies exist and how are they viewed. So we think about that even in the context of Taiwan. If we are to teach English, for instance, we have to ask the question, what is the current state of teaching, the policies that exist in the nation, right? And how are they viewed, or how are they perceived by society as a whole? Another second question can be, what impact will it have on different sectors of society, right? Meaning this program that we want to maybe introduce or draft, or this new curriculum, what impact will it have on different sectors of society? A third one, let's move on to the parents. How about the parents' views about the implementation of this program? How about the students' perspective? So all of these are societal factors, social or societal factors. Now let's move on to the second one, project factors. Okay, project factors. A curriculum project is usually generated by a group of people. They are both teachers and other staff of the teaching institutions. And they aim to develop curriculum on the term's stipulated time period. So what type of questions may be relevant here? We also move on to the questions related to the actual project that is drafted by the teachers. Here are some of the questions that can be asked by teachers or by people involved in the project. What experience do members of the team have? What resources do they have available? And what budget to acquire needed resources? Or the needed resources. What is the time frame of the project? Is it realistic, or is it more or less time consuming, so we need more time to implement it? See, all of the questions that relate to the actual project feasibility, concrete feasibility, are called project factors, and we add some of these questions. Of course, this list is not an exhaustive list. These are just some of the questions we may ask, right? Okay, moving on. Let's move on to institutional factors. And institutional factors, to quote Morris, he says that a language teaching program is typically delivered in an institution, for instance, a university, a school, or language institute, and different types of institutions create their own culture. That is, settings where people interact and where patterns emerge for communication or decision making or role relations and conduct. So you see that every at some level the program, once it's ready to be implemented, it's going to be taught within a specific institution. So we have to first ask, as far as situation analysis, what do we do with these institutions? We need to question. We have lots of questions about these actual locations or places where the program will take place. And some of the questions we may ask are the following. As far as institutions are concerned, so number 2 asks the question, what are the school's physical resources, including classroom facilities, media, and other technological resources and library resources? This is a very important question, right? What is the role of textbooks and other instructional materials in teaching in these schools? Do teachers stick to the textbooks? Does the institution adopt a specific textbook? Do they recommend a specific textbook? Or maybe, if I can share a personal anecdote, for instance, I am learning Chinese at Zhongshan, and Zhongshan has a Chinese Learning Center, CLC, and the institution, meaning NSYSU, has its own textbook. So they have their own institutionally sponsored textbook. Okay, so that is the question. Number 3 addresses this issue. Number 5 says or asks, what problems do teachers face and what is being done about them? So although this question can relate to the teachers, but it still has to do with the culture of the institution, right? Okay, so as you can see, these are relevant questions to ask when doing a situation analysis. Now we move on to the actual teachers. And as I told you, we're moving from macro issues to more micro issues, from probably more abstract entities to more human-related entities, subjectivities, like teachers. Now let's talk about teachers, teacher factors. And in planning a language program, it is important to know the kinds of teachers the program will depend on and the kinds of teachers needed to ensure that the program achieves its goals. So we also have a series of questions here that we can ask. For instance, as far as our teachers are concerned, how proficient are our teachers for this program? Are they good in English? Do they need further training? What are the typical teaching methods that they use and they believe in? Do they use relevant, up-to-date methods, or do they need to have a few refresher courses? And to what extent are teachers open to change? Are they resisting the adoption of new teaching approaches, or do they like to experiment with new teaching approaches? So all of these questions can be asked at this stage when we are doing the situation analysis, right? Which is different from doing a needs analysis. Okay, we come to the last point now, which is learner factors, the actual students learning in the program. And learners, sorry, are the key participants in curriculum development. They are really one of the most essential link in this process, in the curriculum development project. And it is essential to collect as much information as possible about them before the project begins. This is different from learners' needs, by the way. Here the focus is on other potentially relevant factors, such as the learners' backgrounds. So we can do an analysis of their backgrounds, but also their expectations, their beliefs, and the preferred learning style. So we can say that slightly different from learners' needs, right? One of the questions, or some of the questions rather, that we can ask at this stage are the following. So we are going to make a little profiling of the learners, and we are going to ask, how motivated are the learners in this program to learn English? What type of content do they prefer? Do they like media content? Do they like textual content? Do they like authentic materials? Do they like natural, inauthentic materials? What is their preference for the content? And then another question may be, what learning resources will they will typically have access to, right? For instance, in the class, outside the class, do they have access to other platforms except the teaching and the learning in the classroom? So this is a very important question as well in this process of gathering information about learner factors. All right, now as a summary, and as I told you, this is a rather short lecture, but still a very important one. Situation analysis, therefore, or thus, serves to help identify potential obstacles to implementing a curriculum project. So we're trying to minimize the problems here at this stage. And the factors that need to be considered when planning the parameters, or parameters can be replaced with different aspects of a project. Okay. And this is the end of the lecture, but for next week, or rather the coming week, I would like to invite you to look at our book, Rich's book, Chapter 5, which deals with this notion of situation analysis. And this coming Thursday, the 24th, yes, this 24th, we are going to mostly cover presentations in our class for all the presentations scheduled for this week and the last weeks, which we have missed. And if we have time, we will also have a brand new lecture. All right, so thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me and to reach out to me.